Hey guys, welcome back to Carib 21, where we share what is trending in and around the Caribbean. In today's video, I would like to talk about the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, putting a ban on short-term work visa with immediate effect. These short-term work visas were in place since 2020, and with immediate effect, Justin Trudeau decided to stop these temporary work visas. So we're going to talk about it, the impact that it will have, especially on the Caribbean. In 2020, coming out of the lockdown of the pandemic, there was an outcry from small business and from the hotel and hospitality industry about a shortage of workers. So the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, decided to open up a short-term work visa for international students and also to invite other short-term workers to Canada to fill those spaces of hotels, restaurant, PSW, and so forth. But what happened then seemed to be an abuse of the system where over 500,000 immigrants came to Canada on those short-term visas, and there's an outcry recently about cheap labor coming to Canada and devaluing the workforce and bringing up the unemployment rate. So with that, Justin Trudeau decided with immediate effect to stop this work visa program. So let's take a look at what the Prime Minister had to say.
In businesses to invest in training and technology and not increasing their reliance on low-cost foreign labor. It's not fair to Canadians struggling to find a good job, and it's not fair to those temporary foreign workers. We are tightening the rules and restricting eligibility to reduce the number of low-wage temporary foreign workers in Canada. This fall, we'll be presenting for the first time an immigration's levels plan that doesn't just talk about permanent residents, but also talks about temporary residents, whether it's foreign workers or others. And we're making sure that the entire package makes as much sense as possible for the needs of Canadians and for the needs of our economy.
And so that was the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. But people are looking at Justin Trudeau a bit crazy, because what they're saying is that Justin Trudeau has been the Prime Minister of Canada since 2015. And since that time, if you follow the trend in immigration to Canada, you will see that immigration has changed, and the top countries of people that have been immigrants to Canada since Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister in 2015. The top country, it's like India and a lot of people from the Philippines that came in as temporary worker, filling spaces of PSW work. So when you look on the chart of the top countries for immigration since 2015, since Justin Trudeau has been Prime Minister, so a lot of people are accusing Justin Trudeau of being the one that started the problem when he became Prime Minister, of pretty much flooding the Canadian workforce with what people are calling now cheap labor, like indentured laborers. A lot of laborers coming from, like, as I said, places like India and all over the city of Toronto, all over Ontario. People have been complaining about the jobs that in like McDonald's, the jobs in Tim Hortons, and all of these jobs that are taken up by immigrants from India, and they pay them like extremely cheap wages. And people are even complaining about people from the Indian community who came to Canada and who would have to live in some deplorable condition. Like, for example, like someone reported that there were like 19 people living in a 3-bedroom house. So people are looking at Justin Trudeau a bit crazy, like the person that would start the fire and then go call a fire truck. That's how people are looking at Justin Trudeau today, and accusing him of because there's an election that could be anytime between now and the next 12 months, that Justin Trudeau is just trying to fix an economy that he has wrecked in the past time that he's been in office from 2015 until today. So people are not really buying Justin Trudeau's speech about concern about high paying, decent jobs for Canadians because, as I said, most people believe that he's the one that started the problem and now he's trying to fix it when it's too late. And to be honest, I moved to Canada in 2011, and when I came to Canada to live for the first time, I was blown away of the beauty of Canada, of how Canada was so clean, of being able to go to the gas station to pump gas and go and pay after. Just simple stuff like that. From 2011 until today, this beautiful country that we know as Canada have changed tremendously. And people are laying the blame at Justin Trudeau's foot. A lot of people would say the pandemic, but being the Prime Minister in power with the pandemic, he's going to get the blame. So that is where people are at today in terms of Canada and this new immigration policy where Justin Trudeau is restricting now temporary work visas in order to fix the unemployment rate in Canada and to get Canada back on a good feet. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think it is a little bit too late what the Prime Minister is doing? Or do you think that with him restricting these temporary visas now, that will open up more jobs for Canadians? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Yes, so how will this move help the Canadian economy and what impact will this have on the Caribbean? So first, you have to understand the Canadian unemployment rate at this moment is 6.6%. That's extremely high. Let me give you an example. In Jamaica, the unemployment rate is 4.4, and Jamaica is a so-called third world country. So just let that sink in. Canada unemployment rate 6.6%, Jamaica 4.4. So what will this move do for the Canadian economy? So as I said earlier, since 2022, when the Prime Minister implemented this program, it was supposed to be a 5-year program that will expire February of 2025. So he's cutting this program now with immediate effect. And how will this impact the economy? Well, the 6.6 unemployment rate, the hope is that with over 500,000 people on temporary work visa, with all these work visa expiring, that will open up 500,000 jobs in Canada, and that will bring down the unemployment rate. I think what happened with these jobs is that being able to bring in 500,000 people from third world countries and as I said, a bulk of these work visas came from India, and people with the Canada minimum wage, the average Canadian paying a mortgage, paying a rent, a basement apartment for almost $2,000 cannot afford to live with a minimum wage. And that's why the whole idea of people coming from, as I said, places like India, the Philippines, and people are operating rooming house where they have like 12 people in a 2-bedroom house, 19 people in a 3-bedroom house. That is what people are concerned about. And they think that the business community have taken advantage of Canadians and of international workers coming from these countries to work in Canada and living in these conditions because they're not paying them well. So I believe that this will hopefully bring down the unemployment rate. But how will this impact the Caribbean? It's sad to say, but I don't think anything will change in terms of the Caribbean. The Caribbean that is most represented, the Caribbean island that's mostly represented in Canada is Jamaica. As you look on the map the chart that I showed earlier, you could see that Jamaica and Haiti was two of the Caribbean countries that were represented highest on this list. There's also St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, St. Lucia to a lesser extent of Canadians, of Caribbean nationals that live in Canada. But it's sad to say because since Justin Trudeau has been in office, a lot of Caribbean nationals have not been able to come to Canada on the level that Caribbean nationals came before. Because again, when you look on that chart, you saw India number 1, you saw the Philippines number 2, you saw China number 3. Those 3 countries have in common like very cheap labor. So Caribbean nationals were some of the first people that came to Canada and did jobs like PSW, like nurses, since the 1960s. But Caribbean nationals got more ambitious and wanted to work in the banking sector, wanted to become doctors, lawyers, teachers. So they graduated to those professions, leaving a hole for cheap labor. So that's why you saw like the Philippines and these countries now coming on, taking over where PSW jobs are concerned. You don't find a lot of Caribbean nationals like Jamaicans, Bajan, Vincentian in PSW anymore. People are concerned about farm work, but farm work, I don't think farm work will be impacted because Canadians are not going to do farm work. So for like, I know that Jamaica have a farm working program, St. Vincent and the Grenadines have a farm working program. So I believe those jobs are safe for people who want to come from the Caribbean to do those jobs. And I know that people from the Caribbean also come to do hotel jobs because there are some remote, very remote areas in Canada where they have like ski resorts and different type of resorts, winter type of resorts, where the average Canadians are not going to work in those hotels. So a lot of Caribbean nationals would come and they would work in hotel. So I don't think the Caribbean will be affected too much because, as I said, since Justin Trudeau has been in office 2015, the numbers for Caribbean nationals coming to Canada on any work visa it's been down since 2015. So the number one way for Caribbean nationals coming to Canada since 2015 is being the permanent resident program where you can apply to be a permanent resident coming to Canada. So that's just my thought. So if you are anywhere in the Caribbean watching this video, I would say to you, do not worry because honestly, this visa restriction won't affect the Caribbean too much. And the reason being is that, as I said earlier, the farm work program, I think for those from the Caribbean, as I said, mainly people from Jamaica and St. Vincent that I know about that come to Canada for the farm work program, I believe that that program will not be touched with this visa restriction. Also, the hotel programs also, I don't believe that those jobs will be touched. What is going to happen is the jobs that are in like the major cities like Toronto, like in Montreal, that restaurants, hotels in these big cities that were able to use cheap labor in Canada for those to fill those jobs. Those are the jobs that are going to go away. And as I said, those jobs were not taken up by Caribbean national, because if you come to Canada from anywhere in the Caribbean to take up any of those jobs, working $15 an hour, you would not be able to afford to pay rent. And Caribbean culture is a bit different from the culture that we'll see like in the Philippines and in India. Like I've been around a lot of people from India, from the Philippines, and from the Caribbean, and I've never seen Caribbean nationals that are comfortable sharing their space. So while in a Filipino culture, Filipino people are very comfortable saying like, you know what, we're going to make some money, we're going to send back to take care of our family. Let's get a 2-bedroom, let's get a 3-bedroom, 8 of us or 10 of us will share it. That will never happen with someone from the Caribbean. Caribbean people love their space too much. So those jobs were never for Caribbean nationals anyway, because doing those $15 an hour job, you'll never be able to pay rent. So the jobs that will be affected, I would say it's mostly people coming from India in particular will be affected in those jobs. A lot of the jobs where PSWs are concerned, a lot of PSWs are from the Philippines, and those type of jobs are not as low paying as some of the other jobs that you see a lot of people from India occupying. Like a PSW job, you could get paid like $25 an hour, which is reasonable. So guys, please let me know what you think about this video, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so I can bring you more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.